welcome back to the Trickway again. I'm Trev, that's great. This is Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 review. We continue on and we're near the end. We will be covering 17 and 18 today. And then we have watched 19 and 20 already. We've done our notes for that, so we'll be doing that after, not immediately after this, but that'll be probably the next episode you see. And if you haven't already, please go and watch our news pod that we just done. It'll be uploaded by now already. That's what's happening from San Diego Comic-Con in regards to the future of Star Trek. There is a link below for you to click on for our Discord. It's Extreme Gaming Podcast. You can come and talk to us about all things Star Trek in there. There's a channel for that. You can come and talk to us all things entertainment in there. That's Gray's channel, Gray's Green Room. And you can come and talk to us all things gaming, because that's where it started. That's where we get our orders from. We do a gaming podcast every week on Twitch. But we'll jump into this, Gray, because we love this season so far. It has been absolutely stellar. Yep. And spoiler alert, it ends very, very well as well for us, the whole thing. As the story is moving on slowly but surely with Prodigy, we start to find out a little bit more about the bad guys. Took a little while for them to actually come in to this season and actually get to see more of their ships and their technology. But we do get to see a bit more of it now. As we kind of alluded to before, Ascenia is literally getting this advanced tech from Wesley and the device round his neck. She's mind probing him. I don't know what she's doing, but she manages to grab all these secrets from him. And I think it's a little bit too easy, because everything she's done, Gray, seems to be overnight with all the ships she's got ready for war, and all the advanced technology that she's got, which don't look like Shrikes, to be fair. You see them later on, they look more like the robot. You know that robot from season 1 that would go about with the Incense and not Sense's dad. Is it Sense? No, it's Gwen's dad. It looks more like a giant version of that, actually, to be honest with you. So but yeah, I remember watching this, and Wes, when he's because it flashes back, Wesley Crusher is taken down a bit too quickly for my liking. He literally just walks in, kind of holds the hands up, and he tries to do his mind over matter thing, like he's doing with his thought. And Ascensia's goons just knock him in the head. I'm like, now we find out things later on, Gray, of course we do, but at the time, as we're watching this and what we know at the time, you're just thinking, are you a bloody idiot, Wes?
Well, I like that idea that he turned around and totally time warped their weapons away, which was cool.
That was cool.
But she sucker punched him, because if you looked, the device that they were using that Wesley knocked over at the beginning of that clip, she turned it around and fired that whatever that thing was. She fired that at Wesley and knocked him out. So that's why I refer to it as being sucker punch, because I think he turned his back and she didn't have a weapon, but she just decided that she was going to fire on him with this thing, since it was sitting there leaking out whatever energy.
Yeah.
And that kind of did it. So I guess to me that kind of made sense, at least at the time, because the only way you supposedly would get the drop on Wes is if you surprise him.
Do something out of the blue, because he knows what's coming up, kind of thing, So you have to do something from out of left field, I guess.
Right field, center field,
whatever the saying is, yeah. You keep me right. The American sayings, that'll do it. I'll keep you right.
It's left field.
There we go, left field. There is a good plan coming to fruition to send the kids to Solum, as understandably it could be seen that Janeway trying to interfere would be seen as an act of war to Ascensia and the planet of Solum. So I get it, the kids are not Starfleet officers. The kids are really smart, Gray. They keep coming up with these cool ideas and stuff, and it does make sense. It really does. Mm-hmm. Send the kiddos in. Although Janeway's of course, initially hesitant. She keeps putting the kids through the ringer, basically, and she doesn't want to do that. But she knows it's the only way we can do this. They technically shouldn't be targeted, but as we see. I loved how the kids were listening into the plan and kind of awe. They are really slowly but surely starting to fit the mold of cadets, of future ensigns. Spoiler alert. And I think they just get it. And just look at the kids now and the start of Prodigy. Great, like night and day difference, actually. To be fair. You liked this nice little bit of writing to get the kids involved in the mission without disobeying Starfleet. I think you hit the nail on the head, great. It is good writing, isn't it? How do you use the kids in the right way? How do you use Voyager and Janeway and Chakotay in the right way? And this is how you do it. Good writing. We've seen this a lot so far, actually, to be fair.
I think it shows that, because there's so many times where they get into some predicaments, and we've seen this before, to where they have to bend the rules or whatever, so that they can get something done. And I feel bad for the writers, because every time that happens, they have to try to think of a way that it makes some kind of logical sense as to why they're doing what they're doing. And that's why I like this, because I'm sitting there going like, all right, we've kind of heard this route before. How are they going to justify it? And they do justify it, and it made sense. And I'm like, okay, cool. It all kind of worked out. So I was like, all right, that's good. That's good. Good job.
More good writing. If only the Prodigy writers could write Section 31 and Academy and all that other good stuff. But that's what the news episode pod we released was about. News and a rant at the same time. So apologies if you've already seen that. Commander Tyses, he seems to be kind of on the mend, which is good. I generally thought
fixed him up.
Yeah, I generally thought he was done for or not going to be around anymore. But no, he's been fixed up. He's on Bribble duty, which is pretty comical. And when the kids are going on their little jaunt to Solum, Michelle of all people joins them. And initially, I'm thinking, you're a cadet, so now that means you are Starfleet, even though you're not an ensign.
Right,
you are Starfleet.
Right.
You can't go. So she resigns. I like Michelle. I like this character, Gray. I think she's doing well. She's fitting in. She's been Vulcan, but she's not been Vulcan. I haven't seen a Vulcan teenager like you said. So it's a nice look into this side of a Vulcan, actually, that we've not seen before.
She also does things kind of Spockish in the way that she said that resigning was logical, and that's true. But at the same time, she's doing it because, not just because it's logical, but because she likes her team, she likes her crew. She remembers that Wes said that they all had to stay together, so it was good logic. But at the same time, you could see that there was some other motivation, emotional-ish motivation, and that's what Nimoy always did here and there with Spock. He would just say, if he looked like he was lying, they would always call him out and say, "Spock, is that lying?" He goes, "No, I just didn't say certain things."
It's an exaggeration.
Yeah, it's an exaggeration. I just avoided a few things, and I go, "Okay, all right, whatever you say." So she was throwing some of that, which I thought was great. That was kind of cool, because we know how Vulcans are, and so for her to be able to express these things, again, is another point of good writing, because they're making us like her for the reasons that we should like her.
She's part of the family now, isn't she? As you comment here, she's well and truly fitted in with that crew now, hasn't she, with the kids? So, and Tyses as well. You say you like Tyses. I
do.
I at first I wasn't sure what to think about him, but listen, this is I know it's finished now. This is a dig at Discovery. See the rest of the people on your bridge crew. They are fellow actors or voice actors, and they have backstories and tell us about these characters, please. Yes, we want to have most of the content about our main stars, but we want to hear from our other semi-regulars as well. And Tyses is one of them who we get more content from. We get to know him a bit, and he is turning out to be the solid, reliable number one that any captain is looking for. So yeah, I agree with you
I,
as
th-
well.
I think he's like, I think he's a great number one. And the thing is, they're the recurring characters. They're not the main cast because the
Yeah,
kids are. And yet they're making an impression. And we're always impressed with Janeway because Kate Mulgrew's playing her, so you have that attachment already. But we have no real attachment to Tyces. I mean, he just
no,
came on, and we're kind of like, oh, that's an interesting character. And now all of a sudden, over time, it's gotten to the point where even if he's not a regular, we like him. And again, it goes back onto the writing and the acting, because if you can make yourself care about a character that you just learned about, that's hard to do.
it's
And if
harder for the voice actor, isn't it, to try and,
Sure.
because he's behind Janeway and Chakotay, or sorry, Robert
Hmm.
and Catherine, or
Right, and he
Catherine,
has to be important. He's
Kate.
number one, so he can't take a back seat, even though technically you think he is.
Yeah, yeah,
But he makes himself known, and he was good. And there in some of the tense scenes and stuff, he's like doing his job, just like a number one should. And I was like, oh, this guy's impressive. I like that.
yeah. He's done a good job so far. It'd be nice in we get season 3 to see some more of the other characters as well. That would be nice. Like, don't just focus on a few more. Tiana.
Hmm?
Sorry, we done our news pod beforehand, and we were taking the piss out of Gray calls the lower decks Dr. Cat, because he likes it and he keeps forgetting her name, and,
I
and
know.
so
I
did
know.
I because of what he done. It's Dr. Tiana, I remember now, so random.
Okay.
Right, so
Meow.
now this isn't a nitpick. This was just, I wouldn't even call it a nitpick. It was just an observation,
Yeah.
and it was wrong. Someone needs to tell Gwen to stop saying that it's energize, not engage. Right? Engage is
Yeah.
when you go forward. When you're going through the
Right.
transporter, it's energize. Come on, Gwen.
Agreed.
That's how you fail your entry exam. I'm joking, of course.
Could have just said, beam us over. I mean, anything that, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
not like she says engage and nothing happens and the ship starts going, it goes faster. But you did say engage, ma'am, did you not? Anyway,
That's right.
now we see this initially, but we'll see this more at the end without jumping too far ahead. Great. On your
Right.
comment you made here,
Right.
it's a very good one. Dal is growing up as he supports Gwen's command on this mission. I think a sign of things to come. He is maturing.
Hmm.
He is not becoming. He was a bit like the Tom Paris, like young Tom Paris. Wants to
Yeah.
go fast and is silly and immature. By the end of it, he's grown up. He's more mature. I'm loving Dal's arc in this. He is growing up for sure. Great, 100% agree with you there.
Yeah, I think in total the whole crew is, but he especially was more of the off the wallish kind of guy, just kind
Yeah,
of barreling ahead, and sometimes not always thinking. And now he's kind of like, okay, there's a way to do certain things. So yeah, it's a pretty good character arc for him and all of them actually.
yeah, yeah. I can't really. I generally don't think any character has been disserviced in this show. This is why
Yeah.
it keeps getting better and better, and why we love it. Because I can't. I'm trying to say one character is slightly worse written, but they're all written for perfectly. So
Yeah.
well done, Prodigy writers. So the kids are going to literally at this stage have to work fast. Is Ascenia is literally about to launch that whole war fleet that she's got going on Solum, that she's managed to supercharge and get going a lot quicker thanks to everything she took out of Wesley's head, basically. It was chuckle here. It was amusing. I want your opinion. This great. It was amusing watching the kids on the streets of Solum, right? Because although they are not Starfleet, that would be the act of war. But if they're still going to be seen, then they very well could get captured. So they're
Right, could be a
given
problem.
a temporary kind of cloaking type device, right? At this stage,
Yeah,
that's banned only on vessels, on ships. But nothing said, that, you couldn't have a personal cloaking device. And it's Rock that's got one. It's experimental. It's maybe only got one use. And the kids all have to stay in the bubble. And it was funny watching this because as they're going along, there's so many times that they nearly let their cloak go,
Yeah.
or they fall, they slip, and the guards see them. Great. I had a chuckle at that. And what was your thoughts on that? Was that a comical scene for you?
Yeah, no, I liked it. I like the fact that this bubble that they have to stay within to be cloaked, they're trying to cram all these people inside this this bubble. And so they go like, "Well, just shuffle, just shuffle." So they're like shuffling their feet in order to be able to stay tight, but it's almost impossible. And then you see them run into a table and a couple of these glass baubles are falling. And so what does Dale do? He comes out of the bubble to grab them so they didn't make any noise, puts them back on the table and goes back into the bubble again.
It
And then I
pulls
think it was
off.
what Jankum, I think, tripped over something, and he pops out and then goes back in, and the guards turn around and go like, "Wait a
It's
minute, I know I heard
typical.
something."
It's like the typical guards, the bad guy guards are always the
Yeah.
dum dums, and it literally is in this case that they are the dum dums.
Did you notice that when they moved along, that the two guards in the background were using their sticks to poke at whatever at
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
they
yeah,
thought
yeah.
they saw?
Well, what is
They're going like
that?
"Doot, doot, doot," like that.
Yeah,
I was like,
because
"Are we crazy or what?"
as they're going along, they get closer to the guards. The cloak is like it's on the fritz, so it's like on and
Yeah.
off, on and off. The guards are like looking in the distance. They're like, What is that?" So as they get closer, as Gray says, they were poking what they think they see with a stick, and obviously. The kids inside just grab the stick with the guards into the bubble and kind of bash them up, Um, we,
I like Rock though, because he when the guards later as they walked up towards the where they were going, and the guards saw them, they pretended as if they didn't see them. They're going like, "We're invisible. They
yeah,
can't
oh,
see us."
there's nothing here.
And the
It's
guards,
like
yeah, and the
John
guards are
Cena.
going like, "Here you are." And then Rock does what almost like a Three Stooges thing. He has
She
the portable thing in her hand, and she goes bonk like this. And the guy's out. It was
Oh,
great.
Rock is solid, to be fair, a big person. Yeah, we bump into another. I didn't expect this. We bump into another Ascensia. And
Mm,
it makes sense this because the Sensia, the evil Sensia, is from a different timeline. That's from Janeway's timeline essentially. So it made
mm.
sense that there's another Ascensia, the good one, and we just forgot about her. Or we never acknowledged her. This is pretty evident that this is it's her earlier self before she was like corrupted and whatnot, and she hadn't turned into a bitch yet. Safe to say.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't expecting that either. To be honest,
Yeah.
you agree? No.
I thought it was only the father that got away. I didn't really think about anybody else.
Yeah.
And then when they went to his old lab, and then she turns up, I was like, "Oh, okay." And it made total sense in the scheme of the story. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to progress it. So it was good.
Yeah.
Very smart.
It does hurt poor Dal's head though. Poor Dal has a sore
Hmm.
head. Too much timey wimey for him. He struggles. I don't blame him. It's him and
I don't
probably
either.
him and Janeway got on pretty well together with the timey wimey stuff. It gives them both a sore head. So yeah, at this stage, it's a sign of things to come. Um, that their plan now is they're going to have to split up, right?
Mhm.
Some of them will go and get Gwen's dad. That's fair. That's fine. He's been captured. We see that, and the rest of them will go and get Wesley, right? Because he's kind of key to this as well. That is a sign of things to come. Because what did Wes say? You have to stick together, right? You have to stick
Yeah.
together, or this does not work. So Gwen kind of makes a bit of a boo boo here, but like that any commanding officer or anyone in charge, you learn and die by your actions, and she's done a boo boo, but apart from that, she's pretty amazing character and she does a good job
Mhm.
for the most part. They do break out Gwen's dad, which I thought was a bit too easy, but again, whatever, kids show, small nitpick, whatever. I don't mind so much. And actually, so was the breakout of Wes. I thought that was a bit easy as well, but maybe it's a sign of things to come. To be fair, both of them were pretty easy breakouts. Vulcan nerve pinch time. I didn't note it, Gray. I do recall that bit there, but it goes to show that Vulcans are taught that maneuver from a very young age. So,
Can you
Michelle,
imagine if there's a bunch of Vulcans that are like 3, 4, and 5 years old before they get their emotions under control? They're all nerve pinching each other. No. I can just see that. Yeah,
We
I almost missed Michelle giving him the nerve pinch, and I rolled it back to make sure I was seeing it because
had to
I
be
thought
done
at
at least
first maybe
once.
yeah, I thought she maybe bonked her on the head, but I went back and I went, oh yeah, okay, there you go. So we had to see it eventually, right?
We did. You're not a Vulcan unless you can at least do one nerve
Yeah.
pinch for a season.
Okay.
They take out some of the guards, the kids, and there's nice puppet skills from Zero. It's literally some guards are walking along the corridor, and they literally grab one of the knocked out guards. Well, Rock does, and almost kind of. This guard's like standing, looking, peeking around the corner, being held by Rock. It's almost like a "Hi guys, how you doing?" situation, like really chill and relaxed. And Gwen says something in the local language. You don't know what it is, but the guards approach and just laugh and walk away. So I'd love to know what Gwen said, man. I have no clue, but it's maybe something rude or something. I don't really know.
I thought the scene was really funny, but the way they were laughing, I imagined that basically Zero holding up that guard, but and what do you call it? It was it Gwen? Yeah, Gwen was giving what to say,
She
or
was
the
doing the
voice.
voice and Rock was holding up.
And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there going like, yeah, they definitely said I partied a little too much because you see the guy going like, hey, like this, and they all go, so I'm
You said
sitting
it
there
probably
going, yeah,
was
they got
something like that, wasn't it? Probably
yeah,
was. Yeah, I was in the pub too
I have
too
a
long, too
hangover.
late. Yeah.
Because as we see, they're actually real people underneath the armor. At first, I thought maybe they were robots, only, but no, they're actually real aliens or whatever under the armor. So they had a
Yeah.
good party in time and they fell for it. So hey, it worked.
This all came from Murph actually trying to squish through a little hole above the door, which I thought he would get through
Hmm.
a lot easier because he's very malleable like that. I generally thought he could squeeze through a lot easier, but I guess you wouldn't have had that cool, funny little scene if he got through a bit too easy. No surprise here, Gray. Wesley Crusher's plan was actually to get captured. I mean, the guy sees everything
Right.
coming. Like, I had no problems with that. Did you have any problems with that? It made sense to me.
No, for for the character and the way we know the character is, it definitely was. I got it. I just thought the reaction was funny though, because they're all just going like, "What?
Really, all
That's what are you
this?
talking about?" And they're, well, I told you that was the plan. You guys showed up right on time. Like, huh?
I literally noted down here. I'm like, oh really, Wes? Fancy telling us the rest of your plan then, huh? That would be nice.
Yeah.
Bit of a heads up, mate. But I guess it doesn't work like that. Um, it was. Sometimes I note things down and I have a chuckle at them because I rant and rave and I don't see everything that's written down because sometimes there's some swear words in there and that's just Trev venting, right? That's all that is. Bless you, Gray. Oh, it's coffee. He's got allergies, the poor guy.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
uh,
why I turned the mic off. You wouldn't know.
um, I'm thinking at this stage here, it'd be nice if everyone gets out of there at ASAP because all the guards are coming, and it gets to the stage where Rock literally has to smash the way out of there because they're trapped in there. The guards are coming. They're trying to find a quick way out there. And I know, listen, right? Rock is the science officer, right? She's very intelligent. But come on, I don't think it's a bad thing that we use her brute force a bit more often. Not just use her for that. You use her for her brains, but also, listen, you're solid. Like, would you get as a quick
Yeah.
exit? And she does. She smashes her way out of the side of the building. I mean, it's literally the Hulk meets
Hey, look,
the Thing from
she obviously
Fantastic
enjoyed
Four.
it too. You see the smile on her face? She like enjoyed it. She's like, yeah, okay, boom.
Rock smash, yeah, rock smash as you put down here.
I think that's
Um,
why I think that's why we both like the writing so much because when you first saw Rock, that was immediately what you thought. Oh, she's going to be the big giant Hulk
yeah,
character,
yeah,
and that's that. And yet they flip it completely around and make her more of a scientist and a very intelligent one, even though she's a big old Hulk.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat.
Uh,
And that's the way they've treated it. So cool.
they done it the right way. Like treat her with brains and intelligence, but let's not forget she
Yeah.
is an absolute beast and she can do things like that.
Hmm.
So Gray, as we alluded to a moment ago, it does come to light. Wes is asking where the rest of the team is, and Gwen explains that they split up, and Wes just looks like his world has come to an end. He's like, no, really, what? No, I told you guys to stick together.
He was flipping out.
Gwen is she literally is absolutely effed it great. She, as we said before, you don't split the team up. That's what Wes said. She's split the team up. She feels awful at this stage, to be fair. And like you say, Wes is flipping out. Like, what is going on? Why did she not listen to? I actually wrote down here the god of time travel. That's actually the Doctor, as in Doctor Who. But of Star Trek, it's pretty much Wes is the master of time at this stage. So she should have listened to him. That is a failing. I think she holds her hands up and goes, it is my fault. I should have listened. That was part of the plan. And that will be a bigger thing later on by the end of this season, Gray, that's how they manage to overcome things, by remembering that they have to stick together. I would love to see a Wesley Crusher and Doctor Who team up. That would be cool. No, the way, if you think about it, right? Wes is a bit, at this stage, he's a bit cuckoo, yeah? He's been doing a bit of timey-wimey. He's a couple of dilithium crystals short of a warp core at this stage. He's not his calm, cool, collected young self. He's a bit batshit crazy. So is the Doctor. I think they would have a great team up. I'm just saying.
You wanted to see the team up before, because you wanted to see a crossover with Star Trek, and now you got him. Now you got him and Wesley in a series already. Well, hey, look, it would definitely be better than that situation comedy they want to do. I'm all for it.
Well, briefly speaking of that thing, that friendship thing they done at San Diego Comic-Con between the two oldest shows in science fiction, Doctor Who first, of course, and it's in the oldest, not the best, the oldest, and in Star Trek the second longest. It was a nice little trailer that I saw for that great little thing, a video they put out. I enjoyed it. They never talked about any crossover, which is a damn shame. I thought it was too far-fetched. Hey, it might happen in the future. I would adore that.
You know
to
how
happen.
You could do it? Just get those animators from Prodigy.
No, I want to see live action. That would be epic.
You can do them with anything.
I want to see live action. I really don't.
No, I agree. I understand why, but I'm going on the fact that since these things are very expensive to do, et cetera, we can get what we want if you can make that kind of quality animation.
Yeah.
If you could stay that good as Prodigy's been, I would accept almost any Star Trek show made in that style.
True. Hey, listen, I think Ray and I have said that any day of the week we'd always prefer live action, but if you do Prodigy, then we have no qualms because we know it's cheaper to do and the level of animation is that good that it's a close second. So yeah, no, I have no problems with that. Live action first and foremost for me, though, of course. Now, as we kind of get to the end of this episode, the problem is Wes doesn't know what's going to happen next because someone broke the agreement. Gwen made an arse of it, and that is he no longer sees what's going to come up in the future, which is a big problem. But why didn't he see this coming, Gray? If he sees everything that's coming, why did he not see Gwen doing a boo-boo? I know, timey-wimey, I'm being pernickety, but it's just saying.
I don't think. First of all, I don't think he can see every single possibility, or
a possibility.
If he has seen right, or I don't think he can see a possibility that all of a sudden presents itself so late.
Yeah.
So I think some of these, and it's better to know that he's not like all-knowing. He can't be. In fact, just the fact that they said that there was more travelers than just him means that it's impossible to keep track of all these things unless you have enough travelers doing their thing. And even then, it's pretty hard, when you look at it. Yeah. So I like the idea that regardless of what he can do, that he has his faults or natural faults, like anybody else,
Yeah. Yeah. They just a small nitpick. It's I mean, we wouldn't have the story of the plot if they'd acted in everything I suggested. Far from it. And at the very, very end, I think they're focusing too much on Wes and the disaster of not knowing what's going to happen, that they all get captured. Both teams get captured. Of course they bloody do, right at the end. But as Gray notes here, it is a very good point. It is good writing. I enjoyed it. It does show that the travelers are not gods. Like, they're not perfect beings. Of course, they're not going to be. And I quote, Gray says, Ascenia is a mean bitch. She really is. She is a mean bitch, but she's a good character, and she is well acted. I do like the scene where, I can't remember if it was this episode, Gray, or maybe it's the next episode where, yeah, it is. I think it's the next episode where she will meet Janeway, and she changes from her American accent, where she was in season 1 as the covert op, and then switches into her English accent when she kind of slips it. I enjoy that. I like that. Good voice actor, to be fair. So, yeah, Gray, what did you give this out of 10, mate?
I went with an 8 out of 10 because I thought it was very solid. I liked how the story kept on moving along. You really didn't have a chance to sit there and even get bored. It just kind of like rolled on the proper path. So, which again, you know, we keep saying it, but it's true. The writing is really good. The acting is really good. The animation is really good. And when you can be wrapped up in a show that you essentially don't even know how much time is passing, that's a sign of a good show. All of a sudden, the episode's over, and you're like, you know,
Yeah.
really? And that's kind of the way we felt when we watched like Picard season 3. I mean, it just would roll along, and then all of a sudden the episode was over, and we're just going like, wait, you know.
That's it.
That's the if you're wanting more and you can't wait for the next episode, you've done your job as far as a writer, you know, director, actor.
And Gray was trying to stop himself from watching episodes ahead, because that's a good sign. You're enjoying it. You want to watch more, but he knows.
Oh God, that was tough.
Yeah,
it was tough, man. There was some episodes where I'm going like, oh, I need to skip ahead,
well,
and I'm going like, no, I can't do it.
You could, but you know, you'd come on to the episode. You'd speak to me after, and you'd try and let slip clues like you often do. But yeah. So. I gave it 7 out of 10, close to your 8. It was just a decent, solid episode. Nothing too major, nothing too crap. Again, as I say, 7 out of 10 is not a bad score. I know we've been giving it higher scores recently, but 7's nothing to be embarrassed or ashamed of. It's just it was a very decent, solid, okay episode. No issues there at all. And then obviously the second episode we were going to touch on in this review pod was episode 18, which is called A Touch of Grey. Let's get elephant out of the room, Grey. How much did they pay you to be in this episode?
Ah, man, they were listening to me. They must have been taking some of my advice.
They've spelled the title, the name of the title, wrong, man. What is going on? Why do you have a different spelling, Gray? Why?
It just I didn't want it to be. I tried to like play the line of it not being the color gray, which was Grey.
Right.
I wanted to be a little different when I named my on-air name, Gray Gamer, and so I went with the Gray Gray. And I've had that name for, man, I don't know, it must be going on 7 years, and I've never changed it.
Wow.
You know, I might have added little things, but I never changed it.
Well, okay. Interesting. It was an interesting title of an episode. I had a chuckle and a low when I saw that. And apologies if on my side, certainly Gray's video quality went down and he froze for a moment. Discord is bloody awful sometimes. It really is. Apologies. I don't think you've probably noticed for the most part. But yeah, apologies up front. This isn't a nitpick. I know when I say that it sounds like it's going to be a nitpick. It's an observation. There you go. There's another word. It's an observation. When Jamie's in the ready room and she's by her desk, right, and she's got the normal kind of little video screen thing in front of her, like the data pads that they normally have, does it not look like it's more of a laptop and she's typing on something?
Yeah, it definitely does.
It looked like an actual laptop. Like, I'm sure I saw keys. I'm sure there were. It was touch keyboards.
I just kind of breezed over it because we're used to seeing things like that. But then when you stop and go like, oh, wait a minute, we're far in the future here.
What computer is that? Have you got that Intel oxidization problem, Janeway? Like, sorry, that's if you watch your gaming podcast, that's an in joke there. You'll get that one. Yeah, no, I'm sure it was a touch keyboard, mate. It was the holographic keyboard. I'm sure it was probably that, but it just looked like a normal laptop. Those laptops, those data pads.
Like I was saying in the note, it's old school Janeway. She just wanted the tactile.
I've got a funny feeling that you know, you see these data pads and you see these displays and stuff, and they're out of date now. Yes, hindsight's a wonderful thing. You did not know what the future was at the time when you invented them. But if you see these data pads that they carry about in TNG and stuff, we've got devices that are, I don't know if they're more powerful, but they're certainly a lot thinner and better looking than these chunky data pads. If only knew what the future held, you know. We get a lovely bit, Gray, of the OG Voyager moment when Chakotay gives Janeway her original comm badge. Really sweet thing from the Voyager days. He walks in, there's like a little present. I thought I'd give that back to you. We hear that it's been 14 years since Voyager made it home. That's a long time. And we see a little model of Voyager sitting up, the OG Voyager, on Janeway's shell. I love that model. Like, see, trying to do a starship model within a well done animated show, it almost looked lifelike. It almost looked like a real model, not an animated one. That's the quality of the animation. I want that little ship. I want that little ship in my life, man. I need an Intrepid class. Need to fix that, Gray.
I guess we'll give time and it'll pop up, hopefully.
It isn't. That was a nice little scene, that whole thing, though, wasn't it? To be fair, like a nice little reunion between the former captain and first officer, some Voyager music, some Voyager moments. That's what we want. That's what we want as Star Trek fans. Give a nod to the diehard Trekkies, please. They mention the farm in Indiana, and I'm thinking, now we obviously see something different at the end of this, Gray, but when it's mentioned there, it's alluded that they're talking about the two of them retiring and going to the farm in Indiana, like making it more obvious that they're a couple. But the end it doesn't pan out of that at the end, as we know. So are they going to get it on, Gray? What's happening here?
I don't know.
No kissing, nothing.
They keep on dropping these hints, like, and yet then you don't really see it go any further. Then they drop another couple hints, and then they kind of don't go any further. It's nice, but it's kind of funny. Like, you're just going, like, come on already. Like,
I don't think they should. I don't think they should, Gray. I know a lot of people want to see it, but I think it's a bit inappropriate, just because it's a captain and an admiral, and they're friends first and foremost. I don't want to see it, but I understand if you and other people want to see it. I don't.
No, I'm not. I don't actually want to see it. I think what we're seeing, which makes sense, is that they're very close friends. It's about as close as you can get without having to be necessarily romantically involved.
If
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So in that respect, then because it's kind of like there is a love between them, but it's not on the romantic level per se. It's on a extremely close friendship level.
Yeah, that's a good show.
And that's normal. If, like, any of us that have, like, a small handful of very close friends, you feel the same way. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the best way that they could show that without having to get, like, all kissy face. The only ones that we really, I think, we haven't seen yet, and maybe we will one time, I don't know, is Dahl and Gwyn, because obviously, we've seen them kind of hold hands and stuff. And
I don't think you'll ever see a kiss, Gray. It's because it's a kid's show. I don't think you'll actually see a kiss. Maybe. I think this is why this is happening.
I keep saying, though, that a little peck on the cheek is not a big deal.
But then that could be a friendship thing and not a relationship thing. So
True. But there's something going on. They don't hold hands but they only did a little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. And then you hear their dialogue. Their dialogue is definitely like, I would, like Dahl goes like, and I wouldn't want to do any of this without you.
Oh, God, yeah.
So it's like, okay, all right,
they like Janeway and Chakotay do. I think at one point I don't know if it was this episode or another. They are sitting beside each other not long after Chakotay got back, and I think she puts her hand on his knee or something, like little small innuendos like that. I mean, that's probably what you're going to get, again, because it's a kid show. But it gives the adults more of a, well, they're into each other, but you won't really see it. That'll be on Star Trek X after midnight, of course. As we learn more about Wesley Wright and what happened to him last time, because he's had that device in him that Sense has been taking out all this time traveling data goodness from him. His mind is a bit. It's as if he's been out on the piss for a week, right? Alcohol wise, right? He's really hungover. His
Right.
brain for the traveling stuff that he does won't work for a while, which is probably best because, as Janeway says at one point, you were a Starfleet officer first and foremost, and that's what we need. And I'm so glad they done this. They can't
Yeah.
have the timey-wimey stuff. It's almost bordering on Q level of powers he has sometimes. And I'm glad they took it away for a while because first and foremost, what made you great as a character, Wes, was your brains. You were a Starfleet officer. You were really, really smart. We want to see this,
Right.
and we kind of do. So, were you
Yeah.
happy they took away his powers for a bit, Grey, or did you want to see God
Yeah, I
level
think
Wes for longer?
no, I think the way they did it made total sense. If it was just kind of willy-nilly and his powers fritzed out all of a sudden, I would say, well, that was kind of no explanation. But this was made sense. He was hooked up and brain drained for so long. You're not
Brain
supposed to just well, yeah, and you're not just supposed to jump up and be like, "Oh, I'm perfectly fine now." So it was a logical thing that he wouldn't be able to do certain things. And then, like you said, and which I thought was great, was when he went like, "Hey, man, don't get down on yourself because you can't do something. You're a Starfleet officer. You were a Starfleet officer. It's not something that just went away.
Yeah,
You still
I
are."
still remember that.
And I think that really made Wes feel better. It made us feel better about it when watching it and stuff, and it made total sense to the
Well,
whole deal.
good point, Gray. Technically, he still is a Starfleet officer. I don't recall him ever resigning when he went with the
Right.
Traveller initially, so technically he's still an ensign. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean,
But
pretty old ensign, but hey.
is it? Well, we know the oldest ensign in Starfleet history is and will always be Harry Kim. Poor guy.
Of course.
It's good that he took his powers away for a while because he was a bit too OP. So it's nice to see him be normal Wes for a little while.
Yeah.
Admiral Janeway, Vice Admiral Janeway, sorry, her first away trip in a while. And I didn't hear Commander Ticey stop in and go, you're not allowed to go on away missions, Captain. I'll let that slide. Ticey, so that's fine. I wanted to see Janeway on an away mission anyway, so it is her first away mission in a while. Ascensia's calling her out, basically. Come down. And they know it's going to be a trap, but she's not going to let the kids get, killed or put in danger or anything like that. So she's doing the right thing. She's going to go down and face Ascensia, and everyone knows it's bait, but we get a cool standoff between them, so that's fine. What is going on with her resident holograms, Gray? What is going on with? Are they a thing? Are they flirting? I mean, it's like Hollow Janeway and Hollow Bob Picardo, and they are. Am I making it up? Were they flirting a little bit?
I guess as far as holo characters can, yeah. I mean, look, the holo characters, we all know they have feelings and stuff like that. So, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I mean, it's almost kind of like two kids that are very similar in a lot of ways meeting each other, because you don't see that many holograms interact with each other except on a holodeck maybe or something. And yet these two were more unique.
Yeah.
So they definitely kind of like, well, I've heard good things about you, and you've heard good things about me, and and they were like trading stories,
Well,
or whatever.
this whole scene comes from a Hollow Jamie being jealous that Doc is going away in the away team. He's obviously got the mobile emitter. I still don't believe that they can't replicate in this thing by this stage of Star Trek, man. That's a little bit of a nitpick, but whatever. It makes it unique just for the Doc, so I'll let it go. Whatever. She is a bit jealous of this whole situation, and she also mentions that while she's jealous, she can't wait to read the Doc's next Hollow novel. And he's a bit flattered by this, and really? This is where it comes from. I was like, get a room, you two, man. Jesus.
And she said, I've read them all.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, and he's like, oh, really? Yeah, what one's your
all
favorite?
10 people, including me.
His Hollow novels are bloody awful, by the way. I would imagine from the little bits that you get from his novels, they don't sound the best.
Yeah.
I didn't note this down, Gray, but I'm glad you did. Ascensia comes up on the big screens, the big floaty screens that they seem to have in Star Trek worlds these days. And her broadcast is a little bit serious, to be fair. She is. What did you say before in the last episode? She's a mean bitch. Is this still mean bitch Ascenia? It sounds like it.
She's a good nasty, man.
She is a good nasty. She has a real big problem with Gwen first and foremost, but she really doesn't like Janeway either. She really has a bee in her bonnet. She really does. But as Janeway says herself, she's going down to save the day. Let's get back in the saddle, as Grey notes here. And it's cool because I want... Listen, I know she's not technically... Well, she's an admiral, actually. This rule goes for... Does this rule not go for the captain of the ship? Or the admiral as well? That's a good point.
Well, if she's a sitting captain, whether she's admiral or not, and she has command of the vehicle, means technically she's captain, even though
she's the captain of the
admiral.
ship, but she's not captain in rank. Yes,
right. That's why technically anybody that takes the position of being the captain of a ship is the captain of a ship, even if they're not promoted to captain. If you're in command of the ship, you technically are captain of the ship.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. Wesley Crusher is piloting the away team. They've got they made on the Protostars vehicle replicator. They make a Solum type shuttle, which is pretty smart actually. The age-old trick of sneaking into enemy territory. Use one of their vehicles. And this vehicle replicator that they've got is actually pretty ingenious. I'm surprised we haven't seen anything like this in Star Trek yet, but it is cool nevertheless. And let's not forget, Wes is a decent pilot. He pilots the Enterprise D. He pilots the shuttlecraft on many occasions. He is... I'm actually being maybe not generous enough. He is a good pilot. So I'm kind of glad to see him. And he did say it's coming back to me now. He's remembering. So that was kind of cool. And Janeway slyly brings up the conversation she had with Wesley's mother. And it's, the vibe I got there and then, Grey, it was kind of like, I know she didn't say this, but it was like, I felt like, you haven't spoken to your mother. I spoke to your mother. She hasn't spoken to you in a while. When are you going to call your mum? I got this whole vibe thing. And Wesley's just like, yeah, about that. Sorry.
I've been meaning to call her the last 20 years.
As I note here, and I would say the odd F-bomb is just for once in a blue moon when you really need it. I'm like, yeah, Wes, go and see your effing mum, would you? Come on, don't be that guy. Time and space and all that, you can go and see her whenever you want. It's
and laying the guilt trip on him, as they say.
Yeah, quite right. Go and see your mum, people. If you're watching, listening to this, and you haven't spoken to your mum in a while, call her, go and see her. Don't be that person.
That's right. And then talk about the Star Trek episode.
yeah, of course, and so totally. As they're going down the shuttle, you hear a little bit. This, I had a proper chuckle here. We're hearing a little bit about the Doctor's conceived holonovel that he's doing, and then you hear. I'm pretty sure it's the Doctor that says this. Stop me if I'm wrong, Grey. He says it sounds like a real humdinger. And then this is what they're talking to Solum Space Control, Border Control, whatever you want to call it, and that's when the Doctor puts on the modulated voice to sound like one of them, and that's when he mentions the whole humdinger thing. And you just see Janeway go, humdinger, really? They won't have a clue what that means. I had a chuckle at that. I didn't know that was an American word, humdinger. Maybe that's where I got it from.
I guess, well, maybe it was originally. I don't know.
There you go.
Obviously, when you look up some of these words, you find out where it really came from. It's just kind of like, oh, yeah.
And what's it he says? What is the Doctor's reply back to Janeway when that said, Grey, that I had a proper chuckle at?
Yeah, because I'm a doctor, not a covert operative.
What do you want? Well,
of course you are. You're on this mission, so you know what you are now.
That's a funny, I like that. Right? I know he's had a lot of these lines throughout it, but that was funny. Sure. I'll give him that. Nice one, Doc. And it's funny that I noted this down because I actually mentioned it earlier on that the data pads are looking chonky these days. Nothing like the iPads we've got now. what I found a bit grim, I know this is a kids show, Ascensia's got all the kids trapped in this old solemn type building monument thing, and she's going to kill them by using a captured loom. Remember those guys, creepy tentacle alien dudes?
Yep.
She's going to literally let this thing loose and kill them now. I thought that was a bit dark and grim, no, for a kids show. Am I just reading too much into it?
I mean, the creatures themselves are pretty dark and grim, so
They are. They are. They are.
I mean,
they are.
they're pretty scary looking considering.
His grey notes here, nice touch. I thought it was a bit grim. He likes it. He's into that kind of shit. Whatever. It's got this. The loom's got this collar thing around it, which is, I don't know what it's doing, keeping it under control somewhat. But I just wondered how the hell she was able to capture one of these things. But she's a smart cookie.
Yeah, they don't really explain it, but
they don't, and I guess they don't need to.
Some things, remain unsaid, as they say.
Yes, indeed. I don't know how she done it. And when the loom comes out and starts chasing after the kid, the Mirth goes hiding behind Jankum, to which Jankum says something like, "You're not very good security, are you?" Because he's officially a security officer. He's hiding the little guy. He's just a little guy, man. Come on. I love Jankum. He is my favourite character of this season. He wins for me, man. Love him. We get a real unfit away team. This is Janeway and the Doctor and all that. Janeway's obviously not been on many away missions recently. She's not been to the gym either, Gray. Safe to say. She's a bit out of puff. I think that's unacceptable for a Vice Admiral to be this unfit. I'm just saying. Thoughts?
When you get to be an admiral and you're pushing papers behind a desk, yeah, that can happen.
Oh, this is why they all want to get back into the saddle. Kirk was the perfect example. Now Picard and Janeway, they just all want to get back in the saddle, don't they? It's boring pushing papers,
That's right.
So yeah, that was amusing seeing how unfit they all were. Janeway does give Wes a good pep talk here, because Wes is a bit unsure. Without the time module he's got in his head, he's a little bit unsure about everything. But that's what Gray and I were alluding to before. She gives him the pep talk again about, you're a Starfleet officer, we need that kind of thing, and don't forget where you came from, that kind of thing. That was Janeway doing her Janeway thing, being a great mentor. She's not only kicking ass in this season, Gray, but she's just been a brilliant mentor, mother type figure. She was always a brilliant character and a brilliant captain, so I'm really not surprised at all, to be honest with you. And as Gray notes here, Wes did need it. He needed, because he doesn't speak to his own mum, so he's got a surrogate mum in Janeway.
And
basically. She keeps him right as well. As I just said before, like the loom have a collar thing on its neck there. They think, though, that the kids might be able to help it, because this collar thing on it seemed to mean, I think they allude to this, it's in pain and discomfort with this collar thing that's on it, and the kids think they can maybe reach it. And what's it you note here, Gray? You see it hurting real good, and how Wes and Chakotay have a quick talk about a plan of action. I must admit, I'm surprised the kids didn't try to do more to help the loom out here, if I'm being honest here. Or maybe
I think they wanted
scared.
to, but they're right. They're too scared, but they weren't sure what exactly to do. Zero's the one that was saying, like she felt the pain. She felt that it was alone.
Yeah, that's
which makes sense, because they always travel together in packs when they eat time, and yet this thing was isolated, so all his buddies were gone. So he was like hurting, and he was like alone, and he was pissed off. Stuff which you don't want to piss off a loom. It's not a good thing.
You don't want to piss off a loom; it'll come and gobble you up. Understandably, as we thought would probably happen, Janeway turns herself in to negotiate with Ascensia for the release of the kiddies, and point blank, Ascensia just shoots Janeway, like literally, just no negotiation, nothing, just shoots Janeway dead, right? And initially I thought, nah, I'm thinking, you evil person. But it turns out it was the doctor all along, just changed. Because the whole thing of trying to pretend you were dead for longer than you were, or you were dying for longer than you were, it was the actor and the performer that is Bob Picardo pretending to die for as long as humanly possible to give the real Janeway and her away team time to actually carry out an action plan. So
Well, everything he was saying was funny because he's sitting there going like, cardiac arrest is setting in, and the
like
heart
a
rate's
doctor.
and I'm going like, exactly, and I'm sitting there going like, wait a minute, what are you doing? So she's gonna figure you out. You can't just sit there and say all this stuff before you die.
Oh,
So that was pretty funny. And then when she finds out it's the doc, when she figures it out finally, he goes, I made a miraculous recovery.
yeah, that was a good point, actually. Yeah.
I was like, that was great. I was like, yeah, okay.
That was a bit. I'm surprised she didn't see that coming. Come on, she is smart. She didn't see that coming. Think to test for. I'm surprised by that, Gray.
I mean, everybody can make a mistake. Obviously, I think they went for it just to see whether, because I couldn't think of anything else, and see whether she would fall for it. And sometimes when you're in your own world, you're not looking as carefully as you were before.
Yeah.
And I think she was her mindset was so much on like, I got to do this mission, that she wasn't really paying close enough attention.
I'll let it slide. I will let it slide.
Yeah.
The Admiral's diversion plan works. It does. Work out in the end. She's able to, her and her team, shut down the power to this facility. But that means, unfortunately, that the loom was able to escape. So it must have been some energy control collar, I'm thinking, because the loom was able to get rid of it. And as Gray notes here, at this stage here, things are starting to slowly but surely go in favour of the good guys, because Gwen's father addresses the people on the big floaty screens, like I said before, that they seem to have in every world in Star Trek. And basically, he's going to be the leader of the revolt and get everyone moving again, because the kids and Janeway and Chakotay, they can't do it themselves. Everyone makes their escape in the Solum shuttle. I'm calling it the Solum shuttle because I have no clue what it's called.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you to Wes again for being an awesome pilot. And Jenkum is impressed with Janeway's percussive maintenance. Yeah, well, that's his thing. That's his thing. That was his trademark, and someone else has done it. So, we haven't had recursive maintenance for an episode or two from Jenkum, actually.
She even Janeway said something like, that's a little something I picked up at the academy. She goes,
that's a good point. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. A random thing that I put at the end of this episode review, right? It really, when we hear Murph talking, it really sounded like he was saying "hey, hey, hey" towards Chakotay. Was that just me, Gray?
No,
he says some English words, kinda, doesn't he?
A side note to that, and I apologize for not remembering the actor's name that does the Murph.
I don't remember the kids actors. Sorry,
but I read a little bit about him. Apparently, the reason they chose him is because he is an expert in the voice acting of different creatures. He makes all kinds of weird noises and clicks and thises and that's, and they just look to him for this stuff because somehow he's able to bring an expression through these weird noises.
Yeah, and
he's good at it. So I have to give him credit. He's like, it's acting still, even though he doesn't say English.
He's like the voice acting version of what's his name from Discovery, who we like. The big tall guy that dresses up in the
Saru?
Yeah, he's very much like Doug. Is it Doug?
Doug Jones, yeah.
Doug Jones, yeah. He's very much like the voice acting version of him. Very good at what he does. Very unique kind of skill set, And then his episode kind of ends and we round it off. The Janeway and Chakotay literally they agree to basically help the kids save the day because they all have to do it together. No one team can do it without the other team. So, great, Mr. Gray. What did we give this out of 10 and why?
I stuck still with the 8 out of 10. I thought it was still a little better in my mind than a 7, but of course not a 10.
Yeah.
But that's not nitpicking. That's just whatever.
Yeah.
But it just seems to, for the most part, the series just keeps maintaining a high level of quality. And that's what a good Trek show should do.
Yeah.
Well, that's what any show should do, to be honest, but especially a Trek show, I guess. And I just think the quality is just too good. I mean, it's already set the bar for itself.
Oh yeah.
If it were ever to come off, if it were to ever come off that bar, we would be jumping all over it. So there's an expectation now.
that is part of the reason I maybe don't give it higher than a 7.5 out of 10, because they've set a high bar, like Ray says, not which is not a bad thing. And if it was to ever become less of a score, it's because they've dropped the ball, and they shouldn't be if it's the same quality writers.
Yeah.
I've never ever given an episode of season 2 any lower than a 7 out of 10. I don't think, did I? Maybe there was a 6
might have been
or
one,
6.5, maybe
if
1.
I remember,
Yeah.
but
It was a filler
otherwise, no.
episode. You're right, Gray. 1. I tell a lie. Sorry.
Yeah.
But 7 out of 10. When I know here, when you have so many quality episodes like this, it's harder to give this more than 7.5. It's not a slight of the episode or the writing at all. It's just the standards were so high before and after.
Hey, look, their 7.5 or 8 out of 10 would be beyond a 10 for other shows.
Yeah. Hey, that
Yeah,
7.5 is actually higher if it's another show. You're right, Gray. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that takes us up to the end of episode 18. We'll probably record
2 more left.
Yeah, 2 more left. That means something else over here. Sorry, people in the UK that watched that. That was a suggestion.
two more left. Two. Yeah, whatever.
What is this? What is this? Who are you calling? Yeah, that was amusing. So yeah, we get 2 more left. We're probably recording that in a couple of days' time. It'll probably be released like next weekend or something. But if you haven't seen the news episode, the news pod that we brought out, news stroke rant episode, that'll be up already by the time you watch this. And go and check the trailers out from San Diego Comic-Con. I can't obviously include them in this for obvious reasons, but it's easy enough for you to go and find them. So yeah, until the next time, cheers, Grace. Say goodbye to the people for me.
Live long and prosper, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.